Well, first, I'm Diego Bosca. I'm come from Veratech. I'm here presenting on behalf of the work that is being done or carried out from Jaime regarding the mapping to OMOP and FHIR. So the first question will be, how many of you know what is OMOP? I assume FHIR everyone does. Oh yeah, so then I don't have to summarize it into OMOP, right? Perfect. So yeah, the idea is that we're having several projects to tackle this kind of standards. I mean, we are very experts in OMOP for the project we have, and CDR obviously in FHIR, so we are very like approached by that. So I tell you of the online. I will talk about the context, the project, the problem, and then I will tell you what have been doing for this both of these projects, and then I will teach you how is the future going to look, right? So a little bit of the context. As you know, by now everyone is trying to map OpenEHR to everything else, right? Because if OpenEHR cannot leave it in a bubble, we need to exchange data with FHIR. We need to allow research data from above. What you can see everywhere is that a lot of other mappings have been created. So when you need to communicate from FHIR, for example, you create another mapping because it's like for a specific project for a specific use case, right? But in the end, we are really looking at that most of the things that we are doing over the same archetypes are really like reusable, right? Because in the end, if you are doing the same kind of implementation of the same archetype, it will be the same output, right? And I think we could and we can and we should agree on that. And as I said, this is a high-level project, so Jaime is trying to pursue this kind of interoperability standards. So, until now, usually when you have an OpenEHR project, as we are OpenEHR ourselves, right? When you have to integrate with FHIR, it's usually at the end of the project. You develop knowledge, you have to develop all the system, and then you say, okay, then I have to connect with X system that is also in the market, whatever. Then you have a very narrow use cases. You have very little time. So in the end, these mappings are not really even that good or even reusable. Also, we need to get complex data flows to get that data out of the OpenEHR platforms. So you have to take, you have to do AQLs, you have to do CSVs, you have to do lots of things to actually get the data out. And this kind of complex the workflow. And I think we as a community, we can do much better than that, right? So I like to see this kind of image of the world. So I think we are in a surrounded by an ocean of unstructured data, and we are in an island where each one of standards are doing their own thing. Maybe there are like a little bit of projects that we are trying to create bridges in some parts, but again, it's like everyone is their own country, right? So in the end, jokes aside, jokes aside, well, starting from the first standard, right? This is OMOP. Again, OMOP is a research standard, and this is how it looks like. I won't get into detail, but it's like a SQL database, right? This is what it is, and you have your specific vocabularies, but that's what the OMOP is. Really, the mappings to OMOP are really like I would say easy to create, in contrast with the FHIR mappings, right? And it's for that part. So, well, just as a recap, we already presented that before. We have already, in the past, we already presented mappings to 20 archetypes that were part of the pain summary, a typical pain summary like problem diagnosis and this kind of typical use cases. And what we have done is do this kind of thing and create also. So sorry. So this is OMOCL. That is the language that is based on, right? And for executing the OMOCL, we have a tool called EOS that is taking that mappings and getting from a standard APIs of OpenEHR, taking the data out into a SQL database for OMOP, right? So the idea is that with this kind of mapping, you can automatically get data into OMOP. Then, when we finished these 20 archetypes, then the next approach was, okay, but we have 200 more. And then Severin asked me, can you do it? I said, why not? No? So the idea is, we are currently in the process of mapping these 209 archetypes of the published archetypes that were, I mean, like 2 months ago, what was the goal. So the idea is that get these 200 archetypes and map every root and every interesting element of the archetype to OMOP element, right? We are trying to do, of course, code the scales and the category mapping. So the gradings, the questions that are available terminologies, whatever we can map, we will map to try to get the actual OMOP data. So we are using for that standard OMOP tooling. We are using Usagi for the first step, and then we are using what's called not Atlas, Athena for the more detailed look for vocabularies. But in the end, the idea is that the codes we select for this will be the ones that will guide in which table of OMOP each things will end, right? So that's more or less the summary. So now kind of early conclusions of the work. So we are already ignore some archetypes because they have no really clinical entity, or are like some groupations of things that don't really have any kind of sense to be put into OMOP. We have proposed maps to Snowmet or Loink for most archetypes, so we have already codes for that. In some places, we found that OpenEHR terminology is richer than Snowmet or Loink, which is really interesting. We have, for example, a lot of scales that have much more like granularity, much more like codes, we will say, than the actual scales in the terminologies. I want to call specifically the object domain that I think that is really badly modeled in the terminologies, and we have really very beautiful and very specific archetypes. I think this actually puts into place that archetypes are really fronted on all, right? So we are, for example, already having archetypes, we use archetypes for version 3 of a scale, and that's not even found in the terminology, right? So it's like we are going far beyond that the terminology can do. So good for the models. So the other part of the work is the work that is being carried out by Jaime and Neblos, that is in the group 2. To add also the table context, so as you know, most of the projects already need an FHIR output or input, as Veratech said, for demographics and technology is something like everyone is kind of consuming. Every project will give you different requirements, and this is usually causing a project that is called profilation, that is basically that you get lots and lots of profiles for almost the same thing, right? So that's kind of a problem. And probably the thing is that if we are basing on the models, we can kind of alleviate a little bit that. So what has been done? So in the past, Veratech released as open source the FHIR Connect, and then currently it's being improved to actually support bidirectional mappings between FHIR and OpenEHR. Also, there is an OpenEHR engine that we call FHIR Reach, and the idea is that it uses the FHIR Connect language to transform between OpenEHR and FHIR, right? So, as I say, the idea is that the current work is going to improve the language and improve the tooling to actually be able to have like bidirectional mappings between FHIR and OpenEHR. As I said a little bit, we are actually, or they are actually improving the FHIR Connect specification that is potentially a good specification to bring to the SEC. I mean, because I think even if, for example, OMOP is very easy, I think it's maybe it is worth it to explore this as a full spec, and maybe we kind of use this for everything, right? Nearly all the medical information initiative profiles, FHIR profiles, haven't really been mapped using FHIR Connect, and also it's expected that the EPS profiles will be actually mapped with FHIR Connect. And the engine will be also open source under Apache 2.0. And this work is assumed to be concluded also in first quarter of 2025. So, what can we do in join? So, in the end, both of the OMOP and the FHIR mappings are using the same kind of header. So, we are proposing this header actually to be used for other kind of mappings or standard we have. And I think it can make it could work for that. Also, another thing that I think is very important is that all these mappings that we generate are assumed to be open and will be available in CKM, right? CKM, if you know already, there's already a place in CKM to put these resources. So, in a way, regarding the discussion we had before about the CKM, maybe the CKM as a resource repository makes sense for even several CKM's perspective. And again, you can have several mappings per version, and that's everything fine. So the idea is that in a way you will have like your packages in CKM, and then you will have your well, this should be moving, but it's no problem. The idea is that you will get like different packages from the CKM, and you will put in this kind of transformer. It will be EOS or will be the FHIR, and then you will get that out, right? That's the idea of this kind of wrappers. So you will have like your standard OpenEHR platform, and your other needs could be met with other like applications that will be connected to the server. So, conclusion. As I said, everything that is been developed for so far, and all the mappings, all the engines will be open, and we said whenever as soon as we can. We will also try to publish everything in CKM, so it's also accessible and related to the architects themselves. I really think that the mappings we provide will also be useful not only in the OpenEHR context, also in the way that in the way that I think we can use it for other kind of project standards, because we are actually identifying which paths are interesting of guitar, right? So you are actually getting this kind of knowledge for other use cases. And again, we can use that for other standards. For example, I mean, CDs, whatever you can think, we could create this kind of engine language approach, which actually puts more and more OpenEHR as a lingua franca, as you model everything in OpenEHR, and then you get anything else, what you want. And I think this will really ease the proliferation process. That's a word. Because in the end, you will get like only a profile that will be mapped, right? And that will be the one that you will use, and not create your own each time. So again, I put this again, and the idea is we will not be in an island like separated anymore. You can get to interoperability. So, and thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Diego. I hope we all, for our sake, get to Outcome Island. I don't know if you saw that off to the right at the bottom there, but very interesting. Do you have any questions for Diego?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Thanks, Diego. That's extremely heartening work, and also published openly. One question, I think you mentioned mapping artifacts with Nomad.
Yeah,
at some point.
yeah.
So is that something that you've done, or is it something you're planning to do?
It's already halfway done. The idea is that for getting data into OMOP, you will need to say, okay, this is, for example, I don't know, blood pressure, but you have to give like the code for blood pressure, or any kind of analyte. You will have to say, okay, this is the scale of whatever, and then you will have to assign like a number code for that. So I'm doing that for all the archetypes, and the idea will be how to, in an efficient way, provide to the CKM like 200 or so mappings to this number.
My follow-up question was, how easy have you found that, and how many new snowman terms have you had to make?
I'm not doing any kind of new terms, but I'm like putting the nodes where they are voids in the SNOMED, right? So I would say that again, the scales part, that is currently the big of the world, because I have just finished all the observations. I think, as I said, there are like lots of scales that OpenEHR has lots of codings, lots of granularity, and lots of like even like the answers are actually there. That you will never, I think, found that in any terminology, because you are usually in this case leaning more into low-ink, and low-ink is you are lucky then you have something very old that is a panel that has something that didn't pass, right? So when there is like kind of number code, then you usually have that, but in the end, you usually get like the total scores, but not all the questions, right? So that is I think more or less the normal. You will get like probably half of the archetypes will have like more than one mapping, but the other ones is like the total score, and yeah, that's how I think we can get. Yeah.
And the reason why I'm asking is that we've seen trying to do similar things for vital science. It's that in some areas seems to be a conflict between a very strictly biomedical way of looking at the world, which is part of SNOMED, and the health record kind of way of looking at the world, which is part of OpenEHR.
Yeah, absolutely. I say when you get like for measurements, you can get measurements and you can get like results and numbers. That's something that is there. But for more like ethereal answers, there's no like really like grades or so on. Yeah.
Any other questions?
You can actually ask both. What is see that, and so
yeah,
we are here, and you can actually ask them to. Yeah.
You also have some information about timing of the exercise, because you tell us that you began the work.
Oh yeah. The work is supposed to be. I think I didn't mention that. The work is supposed to end in the first quarter of next year. So as I say, I'm halfway through, and it's like the first like report that, if it's is of interest of anyone, we can share it. It will be available probably by the end of the month or so, and then after that we will generate actual all the mappings in the model. That's actually the goal. But the first iteration, that is getting all the codes and identifying which tables and so on, that will be like in the next month. Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much, Diego. Sorry.
Okay,
yeah.
Maybe a stupid question.
Sure.
Isn't there any need for the other direction for OMOP? So ingesting data from OMOP into... I understand that there are no specification like archetypes or resources, so it's very difficult. But if we already know that the data comes from a certain context, maybe we could map it.
Yeah, it's possible if you already, as you know the context, and you provide the context, then it's fine. But the problem is that OMOP lacks a lot of context, and you just get like, for example, this is like inpatient. So you are missing everything, like who did it, when. So I think that's missing. But if you somehow get this information, so you say, okay, yeah, everyone did this in, I don't know, whatever, then maybe it could go back. But in general, I will say that it's interesting to, for example, use for example, thinking about the Eden project, for example, that was the thing that allowed hospitals in Europe to be mapped to OMOP. So you have to create some specifications for this mapping, and probably these specifications of where to find things and that could be very interesting to generate OpenEHR from that. But not really for the database, but for the knowledge you get for doing this kind of OMOP work. Yeah.
Great. Well, we're going to break for